Hi everybody, it's Collins Ajok at Collins Ajok Real Life Experience. It's another amazing day for me to be here today with an amazing person. I will have him introduce himself and we'll carry on from there. Nice meeting with you.
Nice to be here.
Thank you so much for honoring the invitation.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Wow. Our viewers would love to know who are you, what's your name, and what do you do, and who are you basically?
That's a big existential question. Who I am is quite simple. I'm David Hallman. I was born in Canada, in a town just west of Toronto, and I've lived most of my life in Toronto. I have been very much involved in church for a long time, and now I am very much involved in St. Luke's. But I have had quite an interesting and varied career over the years, and now I am retired and able to do a lot of volunteer work at my church.
I'm talking with a volunteer, retired minister in church.
No, not a minister. I'm not a minister. I'm a lay person.
You're a lay person.
Yeah,
I thought a minister is a person who serves in church.
Yeah, but I haven't had the theological training or I haven't been ordained to be. So I'm a lay person who provides leadership in the church, but I'm not a formal minister.
He's a servant in church. Is that the rightful word?
Yeah.
Well, nice meeting you, David, once more again.
My pleasure.
I'm just so honored again to have that introduction of who you are. It's humbling for me to be here and have you on my channel for such an amazing interview. You talked about church and having your longest time in church. And my question would come, David, what has being involved in church contributed, or how has that impacted your life over time?
It's been a huge factor in my life. I grew up in a family that went to church, United Church, and I've been involved in the United Church all my life. At one point when I was younger, I was in university, was considering going into the ministry as to become a formal minister, but then I decided not to, but to get into work that was very involved in helping people in different ways. And so I went into psychology and then worked for some time with children with disabilities and families when they had a disabled child. Then I was actually hired by the National Office of the United Church of Canada. So for 33 years, I worked for the denomination of the United Church in some very interesting work. It started in helping churches support families who had a disabled child, but then it expanded to many other areas. And what grew to be the major area of my work was environmental work. And the church approached that as a theological and an ethical issue, realizing that God, as the creator of our world, has asked us, and through various biblical passages, to be caretakers of each other and of the world and of the earth. And so the United Church became very involved in this area, particularly around issues. What grew to be the major issue was climate change. And so from 1988, we started quite early, we were involved in helping to try and educate people and to advocate with companies and with governments the need to address climate change, because the causes of climate change were primarily from richer industrialized countries, but the impacts, poorer developing countries were experiencing the impacts more. So it was from an ethical and theological perspective we were involved.
Do you want to mean that climatical change were beyond Canada, right?
Oh, yes.
Like your service went beyond Canada.
That's very perceptive of you to ask that, because in about 89 or 1990, half of my time became seconded to the World Council of Churches, which is based in Geneva. And the World Council of Churches is a body that encompasses Protestant, Anglican, and Orthodox churches.
Yes.
And so it's a worldwide federation of churches. And I was the coordinator and initiator and then the coordinator of a program on climate change for the whole World Council of Churches, which meant dealing a lot with the UN in all the negotiations around climate change treaties and working with faith groups around the world to help build mobilization on the issue.
Thank you so much, David. And that brings a reminder to me that your service for newcomers and mostly immigrants didn't start today. You've done that for quite a long time and over and over and over. I am still honored and privileged actually to have David here and give us a little bit of his story and his service. His service is amazing. From the time I've known him, I've seen amazing things about him, and that's why I really felt so honored and took the privilege to ask him to come and tell us how things are like and how he's managed. Has he had any challenging bit in his life? He's always a joyous person. I've never seen him not smile, actually. We will have much of him smiling today. And David, that brings me to the other question. Is there any memorable story that you have that has stayed with you over time and it keeps your memory awakening, and how have you managed to work around that?
You mentioned that I smile a lot. I do, but there are times when I was not smiling. And
those times shouldn't show up anymore.
Yes, there have been some very difficult times in my life, and the year 2009 is a particularly difficult year for me, was a difficult year for me personally. My younger brother, who was an academic in New York City, went into deep depression, and he took his own life in January of 2009. And it was very traumatic. It was very difficult. We had grown up, his name was Rick, we had grown up almost like twins. He was just 13 months younger than me. And so we were very close. And then he had moved to the United States and had become involved in an academic career. But when he retired from that, he went into a deep depression, but didn't tell anyone except his wife. So that was very difficult. When he died, and dealing with the consequences of that, and given that we had such a close relationship, but that he didn't feel that he could share that with me, leaves one with a lot of questions and some significant degree of guilt. That was in January of 2009. And then in August of 2009, my partner died. Bill and I had been together since 1976. And we lived together for many years and had a wonderful relationship. And then he was suddenly diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And he died 2 weeks later. We had him at home. We had a in-home palliative care and had a hospital bed in our condominium. And I looked after him, and all our friends and family came to say goodbye. We didn't know how long he would have. He was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and the doctor said it could be a couple of months. We don't know. It turned out to be 2 weeks. And but it was wonderful in one sense, because the night of his diagnosis, after we had come home from the hospital, we'd said that we were going to deal with this at home with palliative care. He went to bed as soon as we got home, and I was trying to compose emails to our family and friends to break this news in the other room in the den. And suddenly I heard laughing, and I came rushing into the bedroom, and he was sitting up in bed. He had woken up, and he said, "You won't believe this. I've just been having the most wonderful dream." He said, "I've been walking in the garden with Jesus." And we've been laughing, and we were having this wonderful kibitzing back and forth. And Jesus told me, "Don't worry, Bill. The pain will be over soon. I'm waiting for you. You're going to be coming soon." And that was transformative for him. That just, he became very much ready for death, and he became then the comforter for all the rest of us who were dealing with this shock. I wrote a memoir about that because the experience was so powerful. I didn't want to forget all the conversations we had during those 2 weeks, and so about 6 weeks after he died, I started to write a memoir, and each chapter is one day, one of those 16 days between his diagnosis and death, and I would be reminded as I was writing it of times that we had been together, trips that we had taken, or conversations we'd had, or experiences that we'd had. And so I started integrating little flashbacks, vignettes into it, and it became a story, a love story of our 33 years together, as well as a palliative care memoir. And I'm very fixated on memory. I really like to preserve memory, and that became a way for me to celebrate his life and to share the story with others.
This is just need a quiet moment for this. But I'm so actually, I'm so happy and privileged for having known you. You're an amazing soul, and you're so amazing. And the smile you keep on you every time, even when things like seem a little uneasy, you just keep smiling, and I keep on wondering, is he smiling? Like, is it true he's smiling? We don't have to be smiling. Why is smiling? But you're such an amazing person. I'm so happy. This side of the story I have never known. But just knowing about this courage, like you keep around you, the energy you keep around you, it's amazing.
Well, yeah, the smile, I think, is an outward indication that I feel so accompanied by the Spirit of God. In this community that we have of St. Luke's, there's just such a powerful sense for me of the presence of the Spirit of God. And we've gone through, as you know, we've gone through a lot of challenges, financial challenges and such, but the community is so rich and in terms of caring for each other and caring for others outside, like our meal program and our newcomers. I feel constantly nourished spiritually by this community, and so I'm not alone in crises like the 2009 deaths of Rick and Bill. I wasn't alone. God was with me, and my community was with me, and that helps deal with the grief a great deal.
Because it says that I'll send you a comforter, and he'll be there with you
Absolutely.
all the time. Wow.
Yeah.
David, keeping memory, you shared a lot of personal experience through your books and blogs. How has your writing about your life helped you with your own mental health?
I've always been interested in writing, and particularly because I am fascinated by the richness of time, of what has gone before, what is happening now, and what can be in the future. And I think of it as all interconnected. So I have, in my home, I have photographs, old photographs of my ancestors, my grandfather, my grandparents, and their families, my great grandparents, and I can trace my family back 9 generations, because I am who I am as a function of them, both biologically and decisions that they made in terms of their lives. So I'm fascinated by that history, and so in my own life, I have done a lot of writing. The memoir, August Farewell, about Bill's death is one of the examples, but I've written other books that try and capture, sometimes in a kind of semi-fictional form, important stories. And for me, writing is a way of reflecting on the experiences that have occurred, and it helps me ground those in a broader perspective as I'm reflecting back on them. And then the process of writing, it's a creative process. Whether it's actual memoir or if I'm writing fiction, it's a creative process that engages my mind and my soul.
Yeah.
And I find that is a source of nourishment for me, that creative process of trying to put in words some things that are very complex and emotional is another form of nourishment that I really value.
Wow. And that helps your mental health.
Absolutely, yeah. It's in some aspects, it's a kind of processing of like the grief experiences that I've had, but also the creative process. This is related to the constant sense of this presence of the Spirit. I think of the Spirit of God as such energy and flame and spark, and the creative process in writing, just as other artists may experience it in their own areas. For me, writing is a creative process, and that energy is so nourishing. It really does help my mental health. It makes me feel happy.
Wow, that is amazing. And mostly what I would borrow from you is about journaling. Every bit of your life is very, very important. Like it's an episode that every time you go back and watch yourself through reading and you read about what you went through yesterday, it will give you the courage to overcome what you're in now, because it makes you think, or it takes you back to a time of thinking that if I managed to walk through yesterday, if I cried yesterday, I got better. And mostly when you think about wanting to end own life and you think about where you were yesterday, that's why it's always important. You go back to your life and read your life.
I'm very fortunate because some people, when they go back and read their life, they've had very, very difficult experiences. They might have had a very difficult childhood. There might have been abuse in their lives at different stages. And so I recognize for some people, reflecting on the past can be very difficult and it can be very painful. Yes, I have had painful experiences, but they don't feel like they have injured me in a way that limits my going forward. I somehow, and I think my spirituality is a big part of that. I'm not feeling alone. I feel that I can deal with challenges that come along.
And I think it's partly is yielding yourself to acceptance and being ready to heal. Because people have walked journeys that you would not want to look back. But every time you look back, it helps you to heal better. Yeah. Looking back helps to heal if you really, really, really avail yourself for healing. Nobody has a formula for us to heal, like to grieve our pain than our own selves. It sounds a little funny, but it's you, the inside. When you decide that I want to get over this, you can get over it. Because like you talked about childhood trauma, which may be surrounded around abuse and a lot of things actually, which are even unmentionable. But when we accept to heal, we can walk over it. Because sometimes if you don't accept to heal over the pain, say, of childhood abuse and childhood trauma, they're going to affect your relationships now. Because you don't even actually understand the persons that you are meeting in life. It's until one day they try to trigger your old memory that you will also show up in another way. So it's very important for us to try so much, like person. I usually talk about person me, person you, your own self, to try to create environment for your own self and avail yourself for healing. If you can't do it, try to look out for help. Because if we don't look into our past and try to clean it up, it will catch up with us.
It's helpful, in my experience, it's helpful if one is in community, if one has people close to you with whom you can talk about past experiences that were difficult. Or you have some outlet. For me, writing is a big one. But to do that kind of healing all alone is really a challenge. To have a community, to have where you can trust people, to be able to share difficult issues is, I think, a significant dynamic in the healing process.
For newcomers to Canada who might feel stressed, lonely, what advice would you give to help them stay mentally healthy? Because I understand you work around that same community of people who are new in Canada, irrespective of where they come from, that they're trying to settle in, trying to discover themselves.
Again, I think community is so important. We are blessed here at St. Luke's United Church in hosting the African Center for Refugees, which is an organization that helps people, newcomers from the African continent, to get access through the different steps of the process of becoming grounded in Canada and around employment and education and housing and such. And it's wonderful that the African Center for Refugees is here, and we participate as a church in some of their programs and activities. And we are blessed by hearing, we in the church are blessed by hearing stories of newcomers, both those in our congregation, like yourself and Landry behind the camera. We are blessed by learning more about your stories and seeing how you have, as newcomers, have dealt with the challenges and are dealing with the challenges. And so that community support for newcomers is really an important ministry now of St. Luke's.
And still, again, I would love you to still emphasize community. When you talk about community support, community involvement, what does it mean to someone who may not understand community, being involved in community? Because as we talk about everything, like from where we began from, you're talking about community, you're being in community, and it helps. So what is community to someone who may not know? Understanding what is getting involved in community, what is finding support in community mean?
For us who are fortunate enough to have experiences within communities of faith, for us, community means being together with others who share a common spiritual orientation of caring for people and caring for each other.
Yes.
And that association, and we have the opportunity to gather regularly every Sunday for service, and you folks are involved with us in the volunteer programs that we have, for meal programs for people on the street or who are living in isolated boarding homes. We're working together, we're worshiping together, we're working together, so we're physically together. And that opportunity to do God's work together means that we grow in our relationships, in the depths of our relationships to each other, and we're involved in action, in activities. It's not just that we're talking to each other, but we're actually doing work together. We're worshiping together, we're doing volunteer work together. And that gives community a real vibrancy. It's really active, it's really nourishing.
I'll talk about St. Luke a little bit. For me, St. Luke, actually not community, I mean to say St. Luke. For me, St. Luke and community is home, a place after home. This is where you find too much love that you cannot carry so much. Look at that smile. I mean, for newcomers, and we've always had a definition of who a newcomer is. A newcomer is anybody who has not settled in, irrespective of the time you came in. As long as you're still looking to settle in, you new, because you don't know things, right? Mm-hmm. This is an environment that someone needs to come here and learn a lot. We learn every day. And finding a rich space that is safe and secure, it's not common. Having a ready family waiting for you is an amazing thing. So that's St. Luke for me. That is St. Luke for me, yes. From the first day I came in here.
I remember that day.
You remember that day so well. One day you're going to pay me to talk about that day. I know the world would want to know what happened, but it was an amazing, it shed too much love in my heart. I didn't come here because I needed, somebody would say, oh, there's maybe they give this and that at St. Luke, but the love at the first entry of your feet would give you the peace. And the fact that I'm here today talking to you or talking with you, it's a sign of acceptance and love. This is a good, a free space that you would come, a safe space that you would come and share. David coming here today and telling us about his past story of how his brother ended his life. These are stories we've had in community every day. And maybe not. Some people have not been able to talk about their story. People have not been free to open up. But opening up yourself to someone is not weakness. Actually, it's a sign of strength. Every time you talk about your failure, you talk about things, how you failed in life, I think it's a way of gaining the momentum to keep going. I encourage people to talk about their stories. It's not weakness because it helps, right? It will help somebody else to know that if David went through this and he's still standing, I'm telling you, he may have the inside, but he smiles every day, right? If you never talk about your story, somebody else may not have the same courage to go, because we are here as a community, as a church community, to support one another, because that is our number one mandate while we are living. That is an assignment for us from Christ, right? Go preach the word, help one another, right? Be a guide, be a gatekeeper to one another, right? This is our mandate as we live, but in whatever domination you come from. And it is not close to only Christianity, like for all of us in the world, irrespective of color. We need one another, and we need to find a safer space. If you're out there, we are taking this to another level, David, to let the world know, wherever you are, mostly in our community. When I say community, now we are talking on the world basis. Now the Canadian community, right? Let's find each other. We are tired of the story of people committing suicide. It should end. We still have a lot, right? We still have a lot to do. We still have to impact the generation and the generation to come. The only way we can do that is sending love out, telling our stories, finding time to tell our stories. Your story is a guard. Your story is a strong tower to help somebody climb up. It's a ladder to support someone.
And telling our stories,
Yeah.
whether one is newcomer or in whatever situation, telling one's story is not a one-directional activity. The person receiving, listening, is enriched by you telling your story. They learn more. We learn more when we hear the newcomers' stories, and our lives become richer, and it gives us more capacity and more gifts to be able to share more broadly with others. So people should not feel hesitant to be sharing their story. They need to be assured that it is a safe place, as you're saying, but once they feel comfortable sharing their story, they shouldn't be hesitant to do that, because they are giving a gift to those who are listening.
Yeah.
It's not just feeling that they're imposing on them. The persons listening are also being enriched by that experience.
And it helps us actually so much. When you tell the story, you're pouring out something that will not make you cry anymore. Telling the story does not mean that you have to come on a channel like Collins Ajok Real Life and tell the world. Telling your story, talk to someone, open up, and don't grieve alone. Don't have this heaviness on you alone, that you're going to be pushed to make decisions that are not right. Ever, I still have you here. Looking back on your life, is there anything you wish you would have done differently? Or any lesson you would want us to know or to share with us?
Oh, that's really a hard question, because I've had such a wonderful life, and that's not to say that there haven't been times of great challenge. There have been, some of which I've shared, but I love every stage of my life. I've had wonderful opportunities. I've been very proactive. I like to make things happen, and so I've had opportunities to do that here at the church and in my career. No, I honestly can't say that I would do anything differently. I've been very blessed.
You embrace life the way it comes.
That's a wonderful way to say it. I embrace life. Yes, I do believe that.
I embrace life. Grateful always to live a life.
Gratitude, huge value for me.
I've had a campaign of gratitude every day that I wake up, I encourage someone to be grateful. Even when you're crying, be grateful, at least you have where to sleep.
Yeah.
Even when you have nowhere to sleep, be grateful you're complete and you had a meal. Some people don't have anything. Every time you think about something you have that somebody else does not have.
I have a small candle holder in my home, and I light a candle every morning, and I say a prayer, either two types of prayers. One, I say a prayer for someone who I know needs a prayer said for them, or I say a prayer of gratitude. So it's those two, and gratitude. I'm often saying a prayer of thankfulness for something, and I'm often saying a prayer for someone who I know is in distress. And that little action is a kind of spiritual practice that I enjoy.
Amazing. David, I am so honored to have you here, and thank you for accepting this time to speak to us. Personally, I am always blessed when I have an encounter to talk with you, to talk to you, or talk to me. I'm always encouraged. I always look forward to meeting with you and having at least a word, because you flow too much wisdom to me, and the world alone at least can attest of this now. And this is my request for any of you that are out there, mostly the newcomers, like people who are looking to settle in. Come around. You can come and send us a private at Collins Ajok Real Life Experience. Let's try to walk this journey together. Because my biggest mission, it's to impact the generation now and the generation to come. And we are not resting until we have the freedom to be free and accomplish what we have in life. We didn't come this far to just end like that. We can be of a great impact, and then giving back to community is my biggest shield. Come and serve, come and help someone, bring a smile to somebody. Wednesday we have a meal program. Come out and do outreach. It's an amazing experience. I usually come whenever I have an availability, and it's helped me grow well and well. You can as well grow. Your last word to our viewers, David.
I'm thankful for you. You are such a blessing to us.
Thank
and
you.
I know that you are a blessing through the podcast to others. And that's really something that we cherish.
Thank you so much. It's Collins Ajok Real Life Experience. Thank you so much for staying tuned in there. We'll see you another time. Stay blessed. We love you so much. Thank you so much.
Bless you.
Thank you.